Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We're going to start a new series today, the Character Creation Series. And as is most appropriate for this channel, we're going to start with Classic Traveler. Now, the version of Classic Traveler that we're going to use for reference here today is this one. This is the 1983 Traveler Starter Set. This is, contrary to what you might expect, contains the entire Classic Traveler game system. There are very minor differences between the different versions of Classic Traveler, whether the Little Black Book version or the Starter Edition or the 1981 Little Black Book version or the Traveler book, but they are 99.8% absolutely identical. And if you have a different version of Classic Traveler at home with you, then your character creation experience is going to be 100% compatible with what we go through here today. Now, this Starter Edition is often available for free in PDF on DriveThruRPG, but that is actually not the case at this exact moment. So keep checking back. You may also take a look at the Classic Traveler Facsimile Edition, which is a small white book. Again, the rules are exactly the same for functional purposes. So whatever version of Classic Traveler you have, this is going to be your example or examples of character creation. Now, one other thing that I will mention is that if you are familiar with this process and you aren't talking your way through it and explaining as you go, this process is extremely quick. You will generate an entire character, even if you get killed a couple of times, and that could happen here today, in under 5 minutes. This is one reason why the death during character creation thing in Classic Traveler actually doesn't break the game, is because if you do get killed in character creation, no sweat. You just start over. And, you hand the character sheet to the game master and maybe they get used as an NPC or something like that later. So the Starter Edition of Classic Traveler contained 3 books. There was a rules book, a charts and tables book, and an adventures book, which obviously we don't need to look at here today. I have opened for you the character section of the rule book. I am not going to refer to it because the entire process is on the charts and tables. So once you get Classic Traveler, you read through this section, you do a character or two, you are familiar with the process. It's very simple, and you are therefore ready to only bother to refer to these 2 pages of charts and tables for character creation. Now, this is a random character creation process. So if you're wedded to the idea that I need to come up with a concept and then the rules will help me to fulfill that concept, maybe you either should rethink that or make the perfectly reasonable decision that maybe Traveler is not for you. That's a decision I can forgive, right? But I really like the way that the character emerges from this process. So we're going to start with the character creation checklist on page 2 of the Charts and Tables book. And this is literally steps 1 through 3, and that's it. You keep doing 1 and 2 over and over again until you either die or you exit the service. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll characteristics. There are 6 characteristics in Classic Traveler: strength, dexterity, endurance, intelligence, education, and social standing. The rules do not specify whether you are to put these in whatever order you want or whether you are to roll them in order. We always rolled them and put them in whatever order we wanted, but I don't have a idea here for a character, so we are just going to roll 6 times and see what we get. So the first roll is a 7, so we have a dead average for strength. We have an 8, slightly above average for dexterity. We have another 8 for endurance, which is again slightly above average. Not running any marathons on that, but it's not terrible. Intelligence is a 7. Education is a 9, which is a bit more above average. And a social is a 6, which is just a hair under average. So maybe not from the best family, but not from, the worst of the poor either. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select a service and attempt to enlist in it. We will either succeed and get into the service that we selected, or we will fail. If we fail, we will submit to the draft where we will roll a d6, and the result of the die roll will tell us which service we enter into. The process will then proceed in a sequence of terms. We will serve a term in our service, and at the end of that term, we will decide whether we would like to continue or not, or maybe we'll be forced to continue. We'll see how that works. So looking at our stat. There are no direct stat modifiers, by the way, in Classic Traveler. There are role-specific modifiers, but to say that you have an education of 9 gives you a +2, that's not how it works. Some roles will give you a bonus for having a high education and some will not. There is no discrete skill resolution mechanism in Classic Traveler. There is an implied one. There are skills, and you add the skills to the roll, but you just pretty much are shooting for an 8 or more, and that's not even actually ever said in the book. It's just you want to roll higher than an 8, you add your skill to the roll. We're going to encounter the abbreviation DM a lot here, like right here on enlistment, DM of +1. That is a die modifier or dice modifier. Sometimes that's called a DRM, die roll modifier, but Classic Traveler was pretty consistent about using DM. So we have dexterity, endurance, and education that are higher than average. So what service would be good for us? Well, our intelligence is a 7. So looking at the enlistment rolls, it looks like the Navy and the Marines are maybe not that great. The Army is dexterity 6+, which we have, and endurance 5+, which we have. So maybe the Army. So we're kind of looking at the Army so far. Scouts is intelligence 6+. So maybe the Scouts, strength 8+ though, and so we don't qualify for that, so we probably want to say no. Merchants is strength 7+, which we qualify for, and intelligence 6+, which we qualify for. So based on the enlistment rolls and the characteristic values that we have, we're maybe looking at the Army, the Scouts, or the Merchants, okay? But let's also look at the rest of the rolls, right? So survival is based for the Army on education. We have an education of 9+, so we'll get a DM of +2 for that 9+. That DM is important. There's 4 different roles here, and if you're going to base your selection of service on one of them, this should probably be the role. Plus, it's easier to get killed in the Scouts or the Marines, for example, than it is in the Army or the Merchants, because the Army does garrison duties and stuff like that. The Marines get sent in as the first wave is the thinking here. So looking at the survival die rolls, we do qualify for the survival die roll modifier for education for the Army. Endurance 9+, we wouldn't qualify that for the Scouts. There is no promotion in the Scouts. You're just a Scout or you're not. At least in this version of Traveler. Other versions of Traveler may differ. The Merchants, we would get a plus for commission if we have an intelligence higher than 6 or higher, and we do. But it's also very hard to get promoted in the Merchants, and we only get promoted on a 10+, and the DM is at an intelligence of 9+, which we don't qualify for. But looking back to the Army, we have a high education, and we have a high endurance. So it's looking like, based on the stats that we have, like the Army is our best bet. So let's attempt to enroll in the Army. We get a DM of +1 for our dexterity of 8. We get a DM of +2 for our endurance of 8. So we're going to roll 2d6. These are all 2d6 rolls unless otherwise specified. And we're looking for a 5, and we get a DM +3 total. So only on a Snake Eyes will we fail this roll. Okay, so we have an 8 + 5 is a 13. So we easily get enlisted into the Army. If we fail this roll, we roll 1d6, and that determines which service we go into. That's this draft number right here. Now, the first thing we do, we're going to begin our first term. So let's roll for survival. And the roll for the Army is a 5+, and we get a DM +2 for having an education of 6 or better. So we're going to roll. Okay, we have rolled a 12. So this is some kind of easy desk duty in rear echelon desk duty that he got put on in term 1 in the Army. So we have made the survival roll. So we'll enter the term down here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to attempt rank. Now, you either don't have a rank. Again, different versions of Traveler will differ here, but you either don't have a rank or you are commissioned and you have a rank. So because we don't have a rank, we will roll for commission. And commission roll for the Army is a 5 or better, and we get a +1 because we have an endurance of 7 or better. So let's roll that. We have an 8 for a 9 after the +1. So we do get a commission. This puts us at rank. Technically, there is no rank 0. You don't get a rank 0, but we are now at rank 1. I had to put a number in that field. So So we now can additionally, and there are people who house ruled this differently, but we rolled for commission and we were successful. We can roll for promotion in our first term as well. So let's roll that. The roll here is going to be, we need a 6+, we get a DM +1 again because of our education, which is 7 or better. So we're shooting for 9, rolling really high here so far. So we got a 9 +1 is a 10. So we do get a promotion. So we actually have achieved rank 2, and rank 2 in the army we can see on this table is captain. Captain in the army is of course a much lower rank than captain in the navy. You'll notice that on this chart, and that's, you know, a navy captain is basically equivalent to a general. So we are rank 2 captain. So we are in command of a company, a rear echelon company this term. Now you get 1 skill roll for the term, but you get 2 in your first term. You get 1 extra skill roll if you got a commission. You get 1 extra skill roll if you got a promotion. So we are actually going to get 4 skill rolls here on the tables. However, we also get automatic skills. Let's see if there are any automatic skills. These are the automatic skills. These are skills that are automatically given to based on your rank. We are a rank 2, so we are in the army, so we're going to get 1 skill. That's going to be rifle, and that's going to be at 1. And the other skill, we have already been promoted through lieutenant, so we're going to take SMG, which is submachine gun, for 1 as well. There's a step in the process here that says to specify cascade skills. We're ignoring that for the purposes of this demonstration. Some skills like pilot will require you to specialize in a specific type of vehicle. We're not going to bother with that. But some skills are what are called cascade skills, which mean they are compact skill categories. Okay, so we've gotten our automatic skills. Then let's take our acquired skills. Now, again, we get 1 for the term plus an extra 1 because it's the first term. We get 1 for the commission and 1 for the promotion. So we're going to make 4 rolls here. Now, you'll notice that there is a column for the army on these acquired skills tables, this column right here. And there are 4 different acquired skills tables. We get to pick the table, and then we can roll the dice on that table. Some people house ruled that you got to pick one of those, but we always rolled it. So we're going to get 4 rolls. Now, there's 4 tables: the personal development table, the service skills table, the advanced education table, and the second advanced education table, which is only allowed for characters with education 8 or higher, which we do qualify for. So we're going to have all 4 tables to pick from here in the army. We always allowed you to make a roll and then decide where the next roll is going to go. So let's roll at least once on the service skills table. So let's roll 1d6 for army service skills. And that is a 1. So we're going to get ATV. That is all-terrain vehicle. So we're going to get ATV 1. Don't be shocked if we exit the character creation process with what looks like, by the standards of most skill-based role-playing games, a small number of skills. There aren't that many skills in Classic Traveler. So we got a second roll. Let's roll at least once on the advanced, let's see, on the table number 3, the advanced education table. We kind of want gun combat would be nice. Blade combat would be nice too. So let's roll for that. All right, we got a 5. So we got our blade combat. So we got blade combat 1. So it looks like he got at least some close quarters fighting training. Now we'll decide on roll number 3. Advanced education table number 4 is interesting, but it's weighted toward tactics for the army, which, you know, maybe we want, maybe we don't. This particular term, we have 4 skill rolls though, and there's 2 more. So let's roll at least 1 on that table just to see what we get. Maybe that will inform us about the character a little bit. Okay, so we got a 4. That is computer. So that's interesting. If we would have got, say, medical, we might have said, hey, this guy's a combat medic, right? Instead we got computer, which kind of implies that he's a tech guy, which despite the blade combat training might imply that he is in fact a rear echelon individual, right? Basic skills in rifle and submachine gun, and he can drive an ATV, so maybe he had that responsibility. But we're not looking at necessarily a frontline combat guy based on this. Now we have 1 more skill roll, and looking again at service skills table. So let's roll on service skills and see what we get. And we got a 3 on service skills. That gives us gun combat. Now, we can decide that we're going to take that in some other kind of gun combat, or we can decide that we're going to take it in rifle or submachine gun. Let's take it in rifle, because that gives him a 2 in a combat skill, which is, in classic Traveler terms, really quite good in a combat skill. So this guy is a pretty good rifleman. Perhaps not a crack shot, but a pretty good rifleman. So that's our 4 skill rolls that we got for the first term. So let's now decide whether we are going to attempt to re-enlist or not. Now, whether we want to re-enlist or not, we have to make the roll, because if we roll a natural 12, which we just did not, then we are forced to re-enlist. But we do have an 8, which is more than the 7+ that we needed to re-enlist. You'll actually notice that the army has the highest number that you have to roll over to re-enlist. So we have actually succeeded here. So we can decide whether we would like to re-enlist or not. We will say, yes, we are going to re-enlist. Now, you have to make that decision, though, right? Because this guy could get killed in term 2, and we'll find out if he does. You have to make a decision at the end of every term of whether you want to be done or not. And you know what? Based on, this is a pretty good one-term character, I got to tell you. There's 5 skills here, one of which is at a 2. I think that's very strong. This is a very proficient-looking, useful classic Traveler character. And he's got a tech skill too, in addition to 3 combat skills and a skill at ATV. But we'll try at least one more term. The first thing we're going to do in term 2, and we've done term that 1 in the army. Next term in the army, we're going to roll for survival. So we get again, +3 DRM to this. 1 because we have dex of 6 or better, and 1 because we have endurance of 5 or better. So we have an 8 + 3 is an 11. So we absolutely survive. This was, again, not particularly skin of our teeth here. So the next thing we're going to do is, we are already commissioned. We're going to attempt promotion. Let's roll for promotion. We get a +1 to this. So we have a 5. Our education of 7 or better gives us a +1 for a 6. That is, in fact, what we needed to be promoted. So we have improved our rank to 3, which is major. Do we get another automatic skill for that? I don't think so. No, we do not. So we're rank 3. We're going to determine the skills that we get. We don't have an automatic skill. We've just found that out. We have 2 acquired skills, 1 for the term, 1 for the promotion. So we're going to get 2 skill rolls. So let's roll once on service skills and see what we get. All right, we've got a 2, which is air raft. Now, what an air raft is, this is kind of a Traveler thing, is like it's kind of like a high-tech flying car type of thing. It's generally an open-topped vehicle that can be used for transport of personnel on planetary surfaces. They can technically make it to orbit, but they're open-topped, so you better be wearing a spacesuit, and it'll take a while. So that's an interesting choice. That's not what I would have picked if I'd have had the chance to pick it. We do get 1 more for the promotion. Let's say that we're going to roll on advanced education number 3 here, because electronics would complement the computer roll. And we get a 3, and we actually do get electronics. Okay, so let's write that down. So we get an electronics 1. So we're looking at a guy who's pretty good in a fight, but also has, pretty good tech skills. A skill of 1 in Classic Traveler means you're decent at it, right? It's a +1 on a 2d6 roll. It's generally enough, on average, to get you a success on the roll. So that's pretty good. So that is our skills at this point. So we have completed 2 terms. Let's add 4 years to our age, so we're now 26. And now we'll determine whether we are forced to re-enlist or not. Let's roll. And again, on a natural 12, we would be forced to re-enlist. All right, so we've rolled an 8. We are not forced to re-enlist. We could choose to if we want. So let's do it again. Let's make a 3-term character. And I think we're shooting for this to be his final term. We'll see what he gets. But if he gets a promotion again, maybe we think about, if I can retire as a general, maybe that's pretty good. Retiring at rank 5 or 6 gives you a little extra bonus, as we'll see if once we get to mustering out, assuming this guy doesn't get killed. So in term 3, let's mark term 3. Okay. We're going to roll for survival. And we have a 6 + 3, as we've discussed before, is a 9, so we survive with no particular problem. Next, let's do step C, so we'll attempt to get a promotion again. And we have a 9 plus 1 is a 10, which does give us a promotion. So we've been promoted to rank 4, which is a lieutenant colonel. Okay, that'll give us an extra skill roll as well. So let's determine skills. We don't get any more automatic skills. We get 1 skill for the term, 1 skill for the promotion. So let's take 1 on service skills. Let's roll our 1d6 to roll on service skills. And we get a 6, which gives us another gun combat. So we can either take that in rifle or in SMG. Now, the way the math works, I'm not sure it's really worth it for us to take a 3 in rifle. I think I'd rather have a 2 in submachine gun as well, because 2's quite good, right? This is a very good character so far. So that looks pretty good. So let's roll a second roll on the advanced education table, table number 4. So let's see what we get there. And we got a 4, and that is computer once again. So we have a guy who is quite good with computers. When you start getting into rank 3 and rank 4, that's when you start talking about characters who are like masters of that field. But 2 is rocks out. 2 is a professional level competence. We've completed the term, so actually let's add 4 years to our age. This will make us 30 years old. Let us then roll for re-enlistment. And again, if we'd rolled a 12, we'd have to re-enlist. So we have done 3 terms, and we are going to choose now. We got a 7, so we're going to choose whether we're going to re-enlist or not. And we're going to say, no, we're going to muster out at this time. We get a number of mustering out benefits when we muster out. Obviously, if we get killed, we don't get the benefits. We get 1 per term, so we get 3 from that. And if we got a rank 3 or 4, as we can see on the muster out table, we get an additional 2. So we're going to, again, rolling on the army columns, we get 5 total rolls. We can only make 3 of those rolls maximum on the cash table. You want to roll once on the cash table, at least. If you got like a lot of mustering out rolls because you're a 6-term character and you're retired admiral, then you probably use 3 on the cash table. But let's see what we get. Let's roll for cash for the first mustering out benefit. So we got a 6, which is awesome. If we have the gambling skill, which we do not, we get a +1 on this roll, which is not the case. So we did get a 6, though. That gives us 20,000 credits. So we're going to write down 20,000 credits. This column should really be mustering out benefits. But you're going to see that the entire character is going to fit on this index card when we're done. Let's roll once on the benefits table. See what we get. We get a +1 on this table if we have a rank 5 or 6, which we do not have. We do have a 4, which gives us a gun. Okay, so that's good. So we'll pick either a rifle or a submachine gun, particularly. So I'll write it down as SMG. So he has an SMG, which could create problems for him, actually. Submachine gun sounds more powerful than a rifle, and it is, but it's also more heavily restricted on higher law level worlds. That is a thing that we may talk about in a future video. We get 3 more rolls. Let's roll once more on the benefits table. We got a 2 here, and he actually gets a +2 education. So he got the GI Bill going for him. So his education actually goes up to 11, which is pretty spectacular, to be honest. We have 2 more rolls. Let's roll 1 more time on the cash table. And that's a roll of 4. That's going to give us another 10,000 credits. So we'll change that. 30,000 credits, which is kind of a lot of scratch, to be honest. So we've rolled twice on the cash table and twice on the benefits table. We'll roll once more on the benefits table. 1. +1 intelligence. So he's actually a little smarter thanks to going to college, thanks to the GI Bill. Now, had we gone through more terms and gotten older, we would need to think about stats decreasing due to age. We did not go that far. So what we have here is a finished Classic Traveler character. That is the entire process. But this has shown you what the Classic Traveler creation system looks like. And I think you can see that based on how simple it is, and the fact that everything runs off this 2-page document, that it's extremely fast. And if you end up getting killed at some point in the process, well, it's not the end of the world, because you can just start over and create a new character. You do kind of have to be satisfied with a randomly generated character and then be happy with the results. But that's part of the magic of Traveler, is allowing the narrative, and in this case, the character's backstory narrative, to emerge from the results of character creation. In this case, we have somebody who was in the army, who was very successful, and who got a decent amount of training, but probably hasn't seen that much action and is primarily a technical officer. Despite that, he has excellent reflexes, and he's good rifle and submachine gun skill. He can drive an ATV, he can fly an air raft, and he can serve as a pretty passable engineer with Computer and Electronics 1. Maybe he's not your ideal engineer, but he can certainly be the engineer's assistant or the backup or even the muscle based on his combat skills. He has 30,000 credits and is toting a submachine gun. We always, of course, played that you could spend the money that you got in character creation as a mustering out benefit on additional gear as well, although that is not specified as part of the process. So hopefully you have been entertained by this interactive process. If you'd like to see more character creation videos, please do let me know in the comments. I intend this to be part of a series of character creation videos, and I felt like it was a great idea to start with Classic Traveler. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.